Hello guys, welcome to CodeRug. Once again, welcome to React.js Complete series. In today's video, we will discuss and learn about React props. I can say it's in one of the most important topic in React series, which is React props. Let's get started and learn the use cases of React props. At first, we will discuss about in definition, that is React props, and after that we will go and check some live example how you can able to implement React props in your application. Props are argument passed into React component, and props are passed to component by an HTML attribute, and props stand for properties. One of the most key point you can make note, that is props are read-only or immutable in nature. That means whenever you declare component or function or class, it must never modify props. Now you must be wondering why we are saying props again and again, because as we know props stand for properties, but it's a shortcut. Now if I give you example of normal JavaScript function, suppose just like I have created normal function sum, and there I am passing, first I have taken two variable a and b, and then I am returning sum of these two variable, and at last I am doing console log of this sum function and passing 2 3 as a argument. Now we can say 2 3 that we are passing as a property to our sum function, and based on the property we have passed, we are making sum of that property and returning it. As we know, we will get the output of 5. This is the normal JavaScript use cases we have seen. Now we will see how you can able to implement in your React application, or you can able to pass props to your component from one component to our another component, or from parent to child component. You can see I already have one React application which is up and running, and I have one root app component which is app.js, which is also running up and fine. Now I have created one about.js component. Now what we gonna do, we gonna pass at first we gonna call about.js component or about component in our app component. So at first we will include that one, or we can say import about, and then we will call it. So this is about page. So this is the same, I can say, JSX that I'm returning from about us page. Now I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to define, as we have already said, props are passed to component by HTML attribute. So that means whenever we have to pass props, we have to pass as a HTML attribute to another component, or we can say child component. So I'm passing props and about, and attribute name I'm giving title. So it up to you, whatever name you want to give, you can able to give it. So title, my first about component props. So this is the title that I'm passing from our root app component to our child component, which is about as a props, and this is title as a attribute. I can say it's my custom attribute which I'm passing. So I have written in this format. Now I will go to about.js component, and there I will write props. This is the same, I can write any name whichever I want. It's not necessary that I will write props, but it's a standard which by which another developer will able to know that we are passing some properties from one component to another component, and we can able to grab it in this one. Now if I do console.log, then you can able to see what I'm getting. So I will just go to inspect. Okay, so I'm getting some object. and in that object we have title and some other stuff. So that means whenever we are passing props, we get props as a object. That the another thing you can make note of it. So that means what we did, from our app component we have passed, or at first we have created our custom attribute, and in that custom attribute we are passing some data, and in about us page we have taken props, and then once we are doing console.log, whenever we are getting or whenever we are passing props, we can pass as a normal HTML attribute, but whenever we are receiving as in props, we always get as an object. So that means we are getting object in which we have title. Now props, I will take let title and I will write props, and this will be title. So you must be aware it's like normal JavaScript scenario in which if you want to extract properties from an object, then we use props.title, and now we have title. So I will do, this is JSX syntax that I am using. Now if I open your browser, so you can see my first about us component props that we have finally received. So this is how we pass props from one component to another component. Now suppose if I am having multiple props we want to pass. Now I can say this is the title and we want to pass description as well. So I can add this is test description for props. Now here I'm passing two props, one is title, another one is description. Now if I go to about page, now again if I do console.log, then you can see the difference. Now here previously you can see we were only getting title as a object. Now we are receiving one single object, but it has description and title. That I already told you that whenever we are receiving props we will get as object. So that means now we are receiving description and title because we are passing two props from our app, or we can say root component. Now same process we will follow again. That's how we extracted it. Now we can do one more thing. We can write DSC. So one thing you can make note that the title and description, it has to be same name as the custom attribute we have passed. Otherwise it's like normal object, from object we are getting the data, so it has to be same name. And description, I will write paragraph, and then inside that one we are doing outputting as JSX, and then if I do, this is the test description for props. So this is how we pass props from one component to another component, which is very useful once we go into deeper complex application. Once we start creating this one, this is a normal general use case how you can pass data from one component to another component using props. And it is very useful when we have content, or suppose if I give you the example, suppose we have multiple product listing we want to show in our page. Now what we gonna do, we will create one single product listing component, or we can say product component. Now that one product component we will import it into our root component, and then we will call an API. From an API we will get in data. Once we get in data, we will loop through that data and we will pass we will keep passing single data to our listing component through props. So we will pass product detail or product, and then we will pass single data which we are making or which we are getting from loop. And then once we pass the data, we will get into our product page, and then we extract it through props, and then we can able to make list of that one. So that's why props are really useful, and it is one of the most important feature in props, or in case of React, to pass data from one component to another component. That's all in this today's video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you all.